Hey guys, here's Thorsten back within full effect. I know a very interesting beginning of the video in my storage room. I already unboxed the monitor, the Omen X35, and I really wanted to show you the box because it's a beast of a monitor and the box is huge. So I already put it on my desk, but I really wanted to quickly show you that box. And since we are here, let me show you the main features of the monitor. And that would be, we have the 35-inch curved screen with a 21:9 aspect ratio, a UW QHD resolution, which means 3440 by 1440, with a 100 Hz refresh rate, a 4 millisecond response time, and the most important feature is the G-Sync. So we get that butter smooth experience. So let me go upstairs now, and then we go through the good and the bad points of the monitor and see how the baby performs. See you in a bit. All right, back at my desk. Look at this beast of a monitor. The iMac actually, in comparison, the 27-inch model looks almost small. So before I actually start talking about the monitor, I wanted to point out that I'm recording this video with the iPhone X. And I'm doing this because I mentioned in my review of the iPhone X that I was recording it with the iPhone 8. So you have a comparison of the cameras. It's quite different light conditions, so the comparison is a little bit weak, but take it for what it is. And anyway, let's talk about the monitor, the X35. So actually the reason why I went out and bought this monitor was because I got Destiny 2 and Battlefront 2, and those games offer you such an cinematic experience that I really wanted a bigger monitor than my Asus 24.5 inch. It was a super fast TN panel, 240 Hz refresh rate. It's a great monitor, but for the purpose of those new games, I really wanted something better or something larger to really get the immersion into those games. So I actually went out and wanted to buy the Asus PG348Q, which is a very similar monitor to the X35 here, with the biggest difference that it comes with an IPS panel. But here in Japan, this monitor is fluctuating in price so heavily, and at the moment it's almost 1,800 bucks. And I really didn't want to spend that kind of cash, so I was about to leave the store, and then the X35 caught my eyes. And this is a monitor I had actually seen before a few times, but I never paid much attention because actually there is hardly any press about this monitor. So while I was in the store, I looked at the monitor and I was really impressed by the design. Let me actually show you a little bit of the design here. It has that it's not an industrial look, it's more like this super designer kind of look. And then here at the back you have the holder for your headphones if you want to use it as that. I'm not going to use it, I think. And at the bottom or at the rear you have actually a few connectors. You have the DisplayPort, you have an HDMI connector, and you have a USB 3.0 port or hub. And that is pretty much it. And so let me talk about the gaming experience I had with this monitor. So obviously we are running a higher resolution, a 3440 by 1440p resolution, which is way more taxing on your hardware than a normal 1080p. And if you want to play your games on high settings or ultra settings like I want to, then I would actually suggest that you run the games on a similar hardware that I do. I have the 7700K and a 1080 Ti. And I think that is pretty much the minimum, although it's quite high end, that you want to run your games at, because otherwise you're not gonna get those 100 FPS. And for instance, Battlefront 2, that runs just over 100 Hz with my hardware and the ultra settings. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty much a perfect match at the moment for this monitor. But if you're running it with anything lower, I think you're not gonna hit the 100 Hz. So keep that in mind. So probably a lot of gamers, especially if you're a little bit into competitive gaming, they have the biggest question: how does it compare to a TN panel in terms of the responsiveness? The responsiveness on paper is 4 milliseconds, and the 240 Hz refresh rate with the The Asus monitor was 1 millisecond response time. So that is on paper not such a big difference, and you will not actually feel much of a difference. But if you do a side-by-side comparison, there is a small difference. And people who are sensitive to that, like myself, they might be bothered with that. In this case, I am not bothered with this because I am at the moment not playing the super competitive games. I'm, playing Battlefront 2, like I mentioned, and Destiny 2. So for those games, I think this monitor is ideal. The picture quality is amazing. The colors are popping and the blacks are really deep. So you will get a great picture quality and a film-like experience in those games. And I would even go so far and say you can play competitively with this monitor because you have a bigger real estate and you will see more of the game. So you will have a better view or a wider view of what's going on, and in some situations that might be actually an advantage compared to a normal 1080p monitor. But I think really hardcore competitive FPS players, they will never be convinced by that, and they will always go for the highest refresh rate and the lowest response time, which is understandable. And if you, like I say, I do a side-by-side comparison, you do feel a slight difference, but it is really not it is not really important to the point where I would say you cannot play on a very high top level with this monitor. Also, what you have to keep in mind, because of the better picture quality, there will be definitely levels, let's say in Battlefront 2 on Andor, where it's in general quite dark, with the better black levels and the better contrast, you will see enemies better, which gives you an advantage in a different way. So keep that in mind as well. I know I had seen some comments on my other review of the LG ultra widescreen monitor that some people would never game on such a panel. Well, it's personal taste. What you have to keep in mind also is for people who want to do content creation. I said it in the other video, I think you don't need to have that high resolution, and I still think you don't really need the 3440 by 1440 resolution. But if you have it, of course, it's always nice. And the pixels, you don't really see them anymore at this higher resolution. So it is really a luxury to have that monitor. I mean, it is quite expensive. You can buy a huge TV actually for that money. So keep that in mind as well. But if you are out there and are looking for an ultra widescreen monitor, I can highly recommend the Omen. I have actually gamed with the monitor now for 1 week. So the transition from my storage room to my desk was a 1 week time lapse, and I'm fully enjoying this monitor. I really highly recommend it to check it out at least. And I think among all the ultra widescreen monitors, I mean, the other option would have been the Acer Z34 BMI PHZ. Among those monitors, I would definitely say that the Omen has the best design as well. So looking here on my desk, I think it looks awesome. And I think this is a monitor I will keep for a while. So yeah guys, I hope you liked the video, I enjoyed the review, and I hope I see you in the next one. Cheers guys!